Hey, this is Kenny Powell from Omen. You're listening to Rockin' Radio. Crank it up and rip the knob off. Metal.
First time to be here in Lima.
Yes, very excited. For my whole life, I wanted to come to Lima, Peru. So it's a dream for me to be here.
Wow, yeah, Omen.
Yes.
What's the first thing that came to your mind when you heard the word Omen?
Well, you know, we were looking. We made the band, and we were looking for names. And actually, the president of Metal Blade had called one day. And he said, "What do you think about Omen?" And just immediately, I was like, "Yeah, it fits," you know. And a lot of people will say, "Oh, it's Omen. It's the movie 666," but Omen means a premonition, not good or bad. It means a premonition of something to come. So I thought it really fit well because I thought, you know, this is something to come. There will be something.
Okay. What can you tell me about the beginning of the band?
The beginning of the band, I had moved from the Midwest with the original drummer and Steve Wittig to Los Angeles to make a band, but we were having trouble finding a good singer.
Okay.
And at that point, Steve Wittig had known this band Savage Grace. He'd played with them for a little while, and they asked me to join. So I joined them for a few months, always with the thoughts that I would have my own band, you know. And while I was playing on the Savage Grace record, Steve met JD Kimball, and I went to listen to them in a garage somewhere.
Okay.
And I said, yeah, this is my guy, you know. So I left Savage Grace, and we did we wrote the Battle Cry record and recorded it, finished it from the time the band started in about 4 or 5 weeks. Mm-hmm. We write the songs, record it, done, you know.
Okay.
It was a very exciting time for me.
The heavy metal industry was different those years than now.
Yes, you know, it was a lot more, you know, a lot of the people that I dealt with were more like what they remind me of Europe now in South America, where it was family and everybody fought for the same thing, you know. Mm-hmm. And you know, the people I dealt with at the record label were friends, you know. But as it got bigger and the money came in, then the friendship went away, and you know, and it really was disappointing for me to see it turn from this big family of people reunited for the same thing to, you know, cutting it. Now it's the band and it's the label trying to make as much money as possible and deceive you, and that was a disappointment for me. It was one of the reasons I stopped Omen for a while.
Okay. So the beginning of Omen was in the beginning of the heavy metal.
Yes.
In the early 80s.
Yes.
So a lot of people around the world, when they listen the band Omen, they say history of metal,
right.
Power metal. What can you tell me about it?
I think, you know, before I really even moved to California, and I didn't really know what quote-unquote heavy metal was, you know. For me, heavy metal was Black Sabbath or Deep Purple or something.
Okay,
you know?
okay.
You know, but it was the style of music that I play, you know, was some way that I had played I developed playing on my own. You know, I had no lessons. I taught myself, and I just played it, you know, in my parents' garage for years, just developing my style. So for me, when I moved to California and I heard what they were doing, this is what I've been doing for some time, you know.
Okay.
You know, so I was like, wow, you know, I fit right in this. So I'm very proud that when people say Omen is part of the history of metal, I think, you know, we were one of the bands that helped invent the genre of power metal, you know. So it has some speed, it's not full thrash, but it has some speed, it has lots of power, it's very technical, mm-hmm. you know, but the vocals have some melody to them, you know, so, and not just a bunch of barking, and that's not being derogatory to anyone, but for me, I like to hear some melody, you know, because I grew up on older stuff that had a little more melody. So, you know, for me, I think, you know, we helped invent the genre of power metal, you know.
Mm-hmm. So the difference in those years, talking about the British heavy metal and American heavy metal, you know, we were talking about Saxon, Iron Maiden,
right,
and talk about, you know, Omen and American bands.
Yes, you know, and that's what I say. When I lived in the middle of nowhere.
I was little playing.
Yes, I was playing. I was writing songs that sounded, and I hadn't heard Saxon and Iron Maiden, these people. You know, and then when I got to California and everybody said, hey, you know, Saxon, you know, Iron Maiden, you know, Accept, you know, all this stuff, and I went, wow, yes, wow, I love this. This is exactly what I've been trying to do for some years now, you know.
Okay.
So, you know, I to say that I'm not influenced by any of those bands would be wrong. I am. Of course I'm influenced by some of them, but my path was already well down that road before I even heard those bands.
Okay. Omen had a successful in South America, Latin America in the 80s. You know why? Because we can find your albums here, okay? Vinyls, tapes.
Right.
What was the reason of the separation of the band, the move to stop the band with a successful?
Because basically we didn't have any idea about being successful in Europe or South America. The internet was not anything that was going on. And I could go from my house right now and pull out my royalty statements, and I've, according to my record label, I've never sold one record in South America.
Never.
Or never sold one record in Greece, and I get mobbed there. You know.
You didn't know if
no, I didn't
some
know.
people here in Peru listen to
No, they had no idea. Only until the internet came, you know. And when the internet came, and I started getting on the internet and looking around, then I started seeing all these people, Omen, and all this stuff. You know, I'm like, wow, you know. I had stopped the band because I thought we didn't accomplish maybe so much. You know, I mean, it was very good in the United States, but when that kind of died off and all the new crap came along, you know, I thought, you know, there's nothing for me to do with this anymore. Until I got the internet and started seeing all this stuff around the world, and then we make our first show in Greece, and people are in the airport with big banners and crying, and you know, I see grown men crying while we're playing these songs from the 80s. I went, wow, you know, it's the same now for South America. I knew there were fans in South America, you know, from the internet for the last few years. But if I would just go by what I had been told, no, we never sold a record in South America. You know, so I didn't know there would be so many people. But I knew there were people that were fanatical about it, because they would write me these fantastic emails telling me how, you know, I influenced them to play guitar, and what a great honor it would be for me to come here. And for me, it's a great honor to be here. So, you know, that it's right now. Everything that I worked my butt off for 20 years ago, 25 years ago, is just now coming to fulfillment for me. You know, you know, I'm just now seeing what I accomplished at that time.
Okay, Kenneth, what was your reaction when your vocals, your singer, okay, that everybody knows, okay, died?
I was very sad, and you know, I hadn't spoken to him in some while, and I had.
You had a very good relation with him?
We had a very good relation until the end, you know, and there were some problems. You know, it was the reason that he left the band, you know, or I asked him to leave the band, because I worked very hard, and when it started getting a little bit bigger and he needed to be a little more professional, he was being a lot less professional. And but I once I started hearing, you know, in the 90s, you know, how many people loved him, and I loved his singing. There was never a problem with what he did. I loved what he did. We made great songs together, I thought, you know, but you know, there were some personality things, you know, that made it impossible to work after a while. But after I saw what was going on, I started trying to contact him, find him, you know, looking for him, and when I wanted to start Omen again, and I couldn't find him anywhere. And the day after he died, I received an email from his brother, and you know, saying, hey, you know, John, you know, has been sick for 3 years, and he wanted me to tell you this after he passed, that his time in Omen was the best time of his life. He really respects what you've done, that you started the band again, and you know, he wants to say, you know, that he really, you know, was proud of what we accomplished together. It's very sad for me, because I was looking for him. I wanted to work with him some more. I didn't know he was sick. I had him. He was just kind of, after Omen, he just disappeared out of the music scene. I couldn't find him. I think he was maybe in a different state in Washington or something, you know.
Okay, so so that reaction helped you to continue with Omen?
Yes.
Like a project, like continue to all the work.
Yes.
You had.
Yeah, and I have now. You know, we've just done or finished doing all of South America. I've been to Europe 10 times now. You know, we're going to Europe for a month when we leave here, and then I have shows in Norway and Spain and France and, you know, and Germany and stuff. I have shows already booked until next July. You know, so now all of a sudden, all of the work I did a long time ago is paying off. You know, and I'm really enjoying it.
What's hard?